disputing taste. And today we want to speak about acidification and de-acidification of wine, what is one of the issues in human interventions in winemaking. But before I go to the importance of this topic and technicalities, I want to explain what are my criterias of judgment of processes or goods. I have four criteria, which are summarized in three keywords: safety, sustainability, and usefulness. Safety means, is it an acceptable health risk, or short time and long time? This has to be a product or a process has to be judged if it's a health risk. There's nothing what is not a health risk. Also, making a walk in the sun is a health risk, but the health risk has to be acceptable on a long-term and on a short-term evaluation. The second criteria is sustainability, and this is about the environment in first place. Also here, is it sustainable? Is it sustainable on a long and short time view? There is nothing what is not an environmental impact. If you breathe, this has environmental impact. You eat, all human activities have environmental impacts. But what we have to judge is it an acceptable environmental impact? And this is a question of taste, obviously. And sustainability has not only an environmental dimension, it has also a social dimension. Is this practice, is it socially sustainable for livelihoods, for people? And this is as important as the environmental sustainability. And then at the end, the question is it useful for wine? The question is, does it taste good? And for other things, it's the usefulness of something. And so we have four criteria with three keywords, and I will use them often in my judgment of things, and this is my taste. Acidification and de-acidification sounds really boring. But it is of importance for wine. Wine without enough acidity is boring, is flat, cannot age, has no freshness. And wine with too much acidity is simply sour, and no one wants to drink it. And acidity is a variable. If there is too much sun, acidity goes down. And also if the maturing process is with too much sun, acidity goes down. If there is not enough sun, there's too much acidity. So we have in the Northern Hemisphere, like in Germany, where I come from, the problem of too much acidity often in the grapes. If you go to the south, especially to areas like Australia, you have not enough acidity, especially for making, you need acidity a bit more for sparkling wines. Or also acidity is a key factor in longevity of red wines, acidity and tannins. Tannins we will not speak today. And where nature does not do the job, human beings can can help. And with acidification, you add acid. And there are 4 acids that are used mostly. This is tartaric acid, malic acid, lactic acid, and citric acid. Tartaric acid is the most logical because this is the acid what is natural to wine. You check the moss, you check the young wine, and you see what is the acidity, and you add if you think that is necessary. It's a chemical process, but there are many chemical processes in producing food. On the other hand, for getting acidity out of wine, you use things like carbonate and hydrogen carbonate, baking soda. Is there any risk linked to these activities? Is there a health risk? Not that I'm aware of. Acetic acid, malic acid, lactic acid, citric acid. This is all stuff that we can metabolize and which is toxic if you get kilos of it, as everything nearly. And with soda and with hydrogen carbonate, we have also enough experiences. Is there an environmental risk? I don't know. I don't think. But you can go terribly wrong. You can go really terribly wrong in the process, and you can get a wine that was too acidic. You get a wine that is without the necessary acids, or you get a wine which is too acidic, and so the enologist has to be very, very good. Is this the only way to control acidity? Is there not a natural way? No, it's a way you can influence what your product in the vineyard, and you can influence it in the cellar. We spoke now to influence it in the cellar, but you can influence it on the vineyard. But this is work. How do you influence acidity in the vineyard? An example, the selection of harvesting time. If acidity goes down and sugar goes too much up, you harvest earlier. But you have to control your vineyard constantly. You can do something also in the growing conditions, canopy management. You know, the canopy. Canopy is like the roof of the vineyard. If you cut it down, more sun comes to the grapes, and acidity will go down. If you let it grow, the shade is bigger, and you will have more acidity. This is as little natural as the cellar operations are. You only use physical interventions instead of chemical interventions. It's all human intervention. But what is the difference? The difference is that interventions on the vineyard are much more expensive. You have to get a constant control of of the growing conditions. You have to constantly analyze. You have to work. Working on the canopy is, mm, is, is, is huge manual work. And everything what is human work is expensive. And compared to this, cellar operations are much cheaper. So this reduces to a question of money. What do you want? If you want a bottle of wine for €7 and every year the same, you will need to accept acidification, especially acidification technologies. Because this gives the possibility to let the grapes grow, bring them into the cellar, check, and then do with chemistry what on the growing on the vineyard couldn't be done. Question is how to judge this at the olfactorial level. This has to be done. I want to know how many Penrose wines go well in tastings, which are Australia, and they are mostly treated for acidity. The Australians say they increase acidity not only because of freshness, and they increase acidity also because in the fermentation the wines get more fragrant. So this is not a religious question. This is a practical question, and it's a question of taste. It's a question also of what you can afford. A Sagrantino needs not acidity, adding acidity. Sagrantino is managed in the vineyard to get a product that needs very little cellar operations. But a bottle of Sagrantino from a cellar in Montefalco costs €25. Also the Pew, also more. Yeah, it's a poor practical consideration, and you should taste a lot of wines with acidification or natural acidity content. But you cannot, because you don't know. And this is something what I hate. There is not enough transparency. It should be declared if acidity has been added or acidity has been brought down through chemical interventions. I'm unsure if this is included in the QR code that is law in the European Union since this year. All the labels need a QR code, and if you scan it, you get a list of interventions that have been done with this wine. I don't like the QR code so much because not everyone is scanning with a cell phone. I would like, and on the bottle displays, if there would be a short list in clear. But it is at least a big step forward to have this QR code and to can trace what has been done with this wine. We had this last time for the sulfur dioxide, which is a much more toxicological problem than the add-ons for acidification and deacidification. And we will see this also when we speak about other wine processing steps like clarification, filtration, chaptalization. When the sugar is not enough, we will shortly talk about this next time. But I think we covered the problems of acidification and deacidification. So now comes the cherry on the cake. I will add to all my contributions in a week the most distasteful event of the week and give a premium for the who caused this most distasteful event. The premium of this week goes to the Italian government and to the Italian parliament's majority for the law which forbids renting out gravidancy between persons. It was declared renting out the womb of a person to another person for a gestation process of an embryo. This was declared a universal crime that you can be persecuted wherever you are doing this. What the hell does this government think it is to act on completely private actions of free human beings? This is really for me one of the most, it belongs to the most distasteful action I can imagine. This is for today. We see you next Sunday at 5. Bye-bye.